Have you ever been disappointed? Wondered where God was at in a particular situation? I think all of us have. Hi, my name's Bob Perron, and I'd like to tell you about Lisa and I's new book coming out this fall, When God Said No. Listen to Lisa as she reads the introduction, Catching Bubbles. I think you'll see real soon that this book probably is very relatable to situations in your life. I hope you enjoy the book, and we can't wait to share it with you next fall.
Remember what it was like when you were a child and you really wanted something? I mean, wanted something so much that you thought you couldn't possibly live without it. And when it comes time to ask your parents for this necessary item, they tell you no. Do you remember the disappointment, fury, and the feeling of being misunderstood? After all, if they truly understood how deep your desire was, they couldn't possibly deny it to you. If they loved you, that is. Everything inside you screamed, "Why?" Sometimes their reasons made sense. Other times, their reasons were difficult to accept. Sometimes they just said the dreaded, "because I said so." That was the worst. It felt like they were purposely torturing you, that somehow they had broken the trust between you. The truth is that your parents always had your best interests at heart. Even when you didn't understand the reasons they said no, their motivation wasn't to hurt you, but to protect you. Or maybe they knew that something better was coming, something that would be far beyond what you currently desired. All you had to do was wait. It's difficult enough to experience this disappointment as a child, but when it happens to you in your adult life, and God is the one telling you no, it's particularly devastating. As long as I can remember, I have always wanted to have children, lots of children. This desire to be a mother was in my very DNA. It was my purpose, the reason I was created. I knew this was true, just as I knew the sky is blue and water is wet. From the moment Bob and I got married, I felt suspended, just waiting for my dream of having a baby to come true. But God said no. My mother asked me once why being a mother was so important to me. I told her that it was the way God made me. When I was knit in my mother's womb, my desire to be a mother was woven into my very being. I didn't voice my next thought to my mother, and He abandoned me. How could a loving God, a loving Father, devastate His child so? As weeks turned into months and months turned into years, my faith and trust in God shattered. It didn't happen all at once, but piece by piece, each painful shard cutting as it fell away. I know that I'm not the only one to have experienced this. Whenever anyone experiences tragedy, he or she cannot help but ask why. As Christians, we know that God can do anything, can prevent evil things from happening. We just don't understand when He chooses not to, as if knowing the reason would make it easier to accept. Suffering through infertility was much like trying to catch bubbles. The bubbles were hope for a child. Most months, they floated out of reach before we can try and catch one. Other times, as one landed in our hands, it would pop before we could grasp it. When one finally did land in our hands, I couldn't appreciate its beauty. I didn't notice its perfect shape or the iridescent colors that changed as one looks at it from different angles. I couldn't trust that this bubble was the answer to our prayers, the fulfillment of our dreams. It wasn't until we looked into the face of our baby and held her in our arms that we realized that, like our parents know when we were children, God's no meant wait. This is a story of utter disappointment, eventual acceptance, and tremendous gratitude. Even though our family didn't come into being in the manner we had envisioned, it was so much better than we'd ever imagined.